it is a very small town. It's quirky. It's sort of this Bavarian village, feels like Christmas all the time. You could see how, we go back to shoot there and we're like, oh, this is the most amazing place on earth. But I can see how someone who grew up and went to high school there would think, I want to break out. I want to do other things with my life. So it kind of had the perfect vibe.
Alison, what a fantastic film. It's so intimate and character driven. I absolutely love this movie. What was the inspiration for Somebody I Used to Know?
Thank you so much. Part of the inspiration came from Dave and I taking a walk in his hometown in Northern California and just trying to tap into that idea of, going back home, seeing people from your life and kind of what that brings up for you personally and how you start to kind of measure who you are now against who you used to be. And also, we wanted to do a bit of an exploration about the one that got away. This is a constant trope in a lot of rom-coms. And even in my personal life and the personal lives of a lot of my friends, I've seen these on-again, off-again relationships that happen. And we just wanted to kind of dive into that. Why does it happen? Why do we get this relationship amnesia? I hate them. I want to break up with them. A month later, I miss them. I made a mistake. Right. What's true? When should you fight for a relationship? When should you let it go?
I love the projects you and Dave work on together. I was at the rental premiere when it was during lockdown.
Oh, the drive-in.
It was fantastic. Can you talk to me a little bit about you and Dave's collaboration process?
Yeah, it's all just sort of moved along very organically. We've acted together in a couple films, and that was the toe dip into seeing how we would do on set together. That went well. And then, of course, I acted in The Rental, which was his directorial debut. And at the same time, he co-wrote that with Joe Swanberg. I wrote Horse Girl with Jeff Baena. So everything kind of just was like moving along at the same rate and conspiring to align. We had such a great time together on The Rental, and more, I think we realized how well we work together, how much we love to work together and just be together on set. We have a great emotional support system then for one another, and we have the same sensibilities, and it just made sense. I would imagine that we'll work on a lot more stuff together.
Couple goals. I love it. Now, you kind of play the villain in someone else's story. How do you approach this almost protagonist-antagonist character? And can you talk to me about how you kind of make us root for you in this film?
Thank you for saying that. When we were writing this, we wanted to make sure that there weren't any villains in the movie. So every character has a complex emotional storyline. And, especially Allie, the character that I play, she makes a lot of questionable decisions over the course of the film. But for me as an actor, I think it's always about tapping into the stakes for her character. This is a monumental moment for her. This is like, this might be her last chance at love. She's a mess. She's got a lot going on in her life. She's unable to kind of see herself clearly. She has a lot to figure out. It really was about finding the humanity in her and the thing that we can all connect to, which is that sometimes when we're leading with our heart, with our emotions, our mind is a little clouded. We don't always make the best decisions. And sometimes we do come from a bit of a selfish place. And that's just a part of her journey.
There's some really powerful conversations about recapturing artistic passion after becoming jaded and losing your way in Hollywood that I find really moving. What inspired that message in Somebody I Used to Know?
I think Dave and I have both kind of sort of swum in and out of those feelings in the past, not quite to the extent that Allie has, and we've both been very lucky in our careers. But we can relate to sort of that moment after initial career success where you start to kind of take everything a little too seriously and hang on to everything a little too tightly. And are you starting to lose the joy a little bit? Or are you also just, is there a time in our lives where we're taking career advice from others and saying like, well, this is the job I probably should do. If I do this movie, then maybe I'll get this, or like the reasons surrounding it are so outside of yourself. And this movie is about getting back to your truest passions, the things that bring you joy. And like for Dave and I, it was writing this movie.
Sure. Yeah. Now this movie captures the desire to find comfort in the past at home, only to find the world has moved on around them. Can you talk to me about tapping into that emotion?
Yeah, it's interesting for me because I grew up in LA and my family's still here. So it's like I haven't really gone away. And yet we all have that feeling, right? When you, like I've said earlier, like when you run into somebody from your past and you kind of like see your whole personal history flash before your eyes. Also, we wrote this during the pandemic, and I feel like it was a great time of reckoning for all of us, right? Everybody taking stock of their lives. Like once you were trapped in your own home, right? You kind of had to look around and go like, do I like the life that I'm trapped inside right now? We saw a lot of our friends making huge changes in their personal lives, whether they were sort of like positive or scary. And I think we're tapping into some of that here as well.
There's a reference to my best friend's wedding in this film. Was there any other films you used that you drew inspiration from?
Definitely. I mean, all of our favorites from the 80s and 90s rom-coms, you know, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, Pretty Woman, While You Were Sleeping. And even, I'm sure, I don't know, I just think we watched so many rom-coms while we were making this movie that they like were all kind of seeping in a little bit.
Now, Leavenworth is a fantastic place, and it's almost like a character itself. Why was that place chosen to be the backdrop to tell this story?
We chose Leavenworth because we have a friend whose family has a home there, and Dave has spent time there, and it's so beautiful. I think it's sort of helped us highlight this idea that no matter where you're from, we all have this tendency to want to like escape, right? And go, even if it's from the most idyllic, wonderful, most beautiful spot. You know, it is a very small town. It's quirky. It's sort of this Bavarian village, feels like Christmas all the time. You could see how, you know, we go back to shoot there and we're like, oh, this is the most amazing place on earth. But I can see how someone who grew up and went to high school there would think, I want to break out. I want to do other things with my life. So it kind of had the perfect vibe.
I actually used to produce our associate producer on a reality cooking competition show. So this
Which
was
one?
It was called The Taste. It only ran for a couple seasons on ABC. It was with Anthony Bourdain. It was one of the hosts. But
wow.
It was a lot of fun. So I related to your character in a lot of these aspects a little bit. It really hit home for me. But I got to ask, there had to be more ridiculous dessert-based reality show ideas that you guys kind of threw around. I need to know, what was some of your favorites? And were there any that didn't end up being used that you thought, oh, you know what, that was really funny?
I mean, I got to go off of the napkin, you know, Allie's writing ideas on a napkin. And some of my favorites were Fudge Get About It, Sopranos themed baking show. There was one, I don't know if it made it onto the napkin because maybe it was too long and contrived that had to do, it was some reference to the romantic film The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, but it wasn't The Bake House. Like, I don't remember what the wording was. Obviously, Foods You Can Fuck is like my favorite.
Right. I mean, that's what Dave said as well. And he said that there's an opportunity there with Jason Biggs in American Pie a little bit.
Now that he's brought this up, it's all I can think about. Like, right? Should we just make that show? Jason,
what a fun show available. That would be, right?
Jason, if you're listening, give us a call.
Yeah, let's get him on board. Now, I love the scenes with you and Danny Pudi. I'm a huge Community fan, and I miss seeing your guys' chemistry on screen together. Can you talk about working with him again and how he got involved? And was the character Benny specifically written for him?
Yes, it was. Originally, the character was named Danny. Then we made a big leap over to Benny. But we wrote the role for Danny. We were lucky enough that he agreed to do it. And it was a blast. It was so fun. It was everything you'd think. Like, for us, it was so great because it felt like we didn't skip a beat. It was just like being on the set of Community. And especially now that we might actually be making the Community movie, it was like this amazing preamble to that experience. I actually feel like we came back from shooting it and to the rest of the Community cast, I was like, guys, okay, so we got a little taste and it's excellent. Like, we should definitely get this movie going.
Yeah, that actually leads right into my next question. Now, I got to ask, because I'm so curious about this Community movie, but can you tell me how you'd like to see Annie grow since her time in Greendale?
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, I think Annie being like the youngest member of the study group, she always had a bit of growing up to do. So we'll see if she's grown up a little bit, but hopefully not too much.
With the film that you guys did, The Rental, what did you and Dave learn from that film that you were able to take over to Somebody I Used to Know?
This isn't like what we learned. It was like we discovered how great it was for us to be on set together, which was really nice. I think just finding that rhythm, I don't even know what specifically about it, but it was like, oh, good, this is how we lock in together. This is how we can be a good emotional support system to one another on set. And that was really invaluable on this one. And also, I'm sure Dave would say the same if he didn't already, but the process of putting together the cast and crew is so important. I think you hear a lot of directors saying like, casting is like 90% of the job or something, but like I would say the same about putting the crew together, where Dave is so mindful about the way that he does it. And it's so smart because obviously we want people that are so talented and you want the best of the best. But also we want people that are good people, that are like a fun hang. I think that more and more, the longer we work in this industry, the experience itself gets more and more important to us, And God, we got so lucky on this one because everybody was just so fun and loving and like passionate about this project. And it makes a real difference.
Absolutely. Well, look, Alison, thank you so much for your time. Me and one of the Screen Rant editors were texting about this movie, about how good it was and how much we loved it. So thank you so much. This film's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.